Welcome to the Campfire Podcast. Yeah.
Hey guys. Oh, haven't done this in like a few weeks. Yeah. Thank you guys for agreeing to come on our little podcast. Zay's been talking about you guys like we should have Caleb and Sidney on. So finally, we've landed Isaiah's dream guest. Yeah, let's say a prayer and then we can talk maybe for like 5 minutes of what my inspiration was for this topic, and then we can get into it. Let's pray. Thank you, God, for your grace. Thank you for your love, and thank you for everything that you've done for us. Thank you for this opportunity that you've given us. Thank you for this journey that you have us on. So thank you for Caleb and Sidney. Thank you for allowing them to have time to come on the podcast and talk about you, discuss about what you're doing in their life, our lives, and just like in your church in general. So pray for your grace, for your wisdom, and your mercy on us. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. So I was listening to a podcast that I cannot mention on air, but the guys were talking about things they've changed their minds on. So and then the other guy was like, "Yeah, I've changed my mind on like religion," and then he goes on to like say like, "Oh, it's because of like the community and like all the things that you find in religion that you don't find in other communities." So it's just like that is true. There's like the Christian community or the religious community, doesn't matter which one. It's just like there's like a community that you feel like you belong to. And another goes like, yeah, I've tried yoga communities, climbing communities, and it hasn't really been the same to like what I saw my parents had growing up. Like they would go out for like a dinner and someone would be at the house watching us. So just like that was just like that got my brain working. Like we can explore this topic a little bit more. And then we're trying to get you guys on for Romans, but we're doing Romans with Kai and Alaya. So it's like perfect. These guys are YWAMers. It's a community. What else can go wrong? So that's where my inspiration came from. So that's where I was like, well, let's just get them on, see what they have to say. They've been involved in a community around the world, so what could go wrong? So that's why you guys are here. That's my inspiration. And then I just brought it up for Isaiah. I didn't tell him the whole scope of the topic. So you guys got more than Isaiah got.
Per usual.
But yeah, so let's get into it. So to people listening from home, would you guys like to introduce yourself?
I'm Sidney.
I'm Caleb. Who are you, Sidney?
We're married. We got married in October.
Yeah. We've only been here for like 8 months now. And before that, we were in YWAM. We did a DTS together not like together, just like at the same time.
Yeah, like in the same group.
In the same
group.
In 2020 something.
2021.
2020 something works better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We both went back and did an SBS, which is just like a 9-month Bible study program course. And then that's where we met. Well, met in we actually liked each other since, and then started dating and talking, and yeah. Then we got married, and she lived here, so I ended up here with her.
Aren't you thankful you ended up in paradise? Yeah, but okay, so YOM. I remember the first time we had Ethan on, Isaiah's full brief was like, let's have Ethan on so he can tell us about his crazy YOM stories. Yeah. That was the whole brief. Like, just that's what Isaiah likes to hear, YOM crazy stories. But yeah, so YOM is a big community. Like it's in Malawi. It's everywhere, like that you know of. Like maybe except North Korea, but it's everywhere. So, like, what's been your guys' journey through like YWAM, like the decision to go to YWAM, and then deciding like this is a community I want to be in, like first time, and then you're like, I want to come back and be part of this community, and then moving forward.
I think for me, I went because I wanted to just know more about God. Like, I grew up in youth group and church, but I just wanted to, like, set time apart to really, like, get to know God. and like develop like a relationship with him. So that's what I did in DTS, and like the community was fun, people were great. And then I went back for SBS just to know God more. So I think community was like secondary to me in that. But the community is really cool. It helps you like, it forces you to like pursue God more in that, because like everybody around you is doing that too. And so it's like, if I stop pursuing God or like don't do devotional or don't do my homework, then the people around me are like, what are you doing? Get on it. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like the community like helps you like press in, which is really cool.
Yeah, I was like in college, and I had like, you know, like good like Christian friends and stuff, but it was just, you know, we had the different interests, and I started kind of venturing more into like, I wanted ministry to be like the big thing I wanted to do in my life. And my dad had done YWAM, and he's a pastor. So like growing up hearing crazy YWAM stories, and like,
Of course.
yeah, and it's like, you know, you have a bunch of people who they all come together, and it's like all we want to do is like talk about Jesus. So that's, you know,
Yeah.
I'm going to be crazy and do that kind of stuff. So I was in college, and I was like, this isn't what I want. And so that's what pushed me to going to like YWAM, because I was like hearing that and knowing that was something that I wanted to have to be with like people who their sole goal was just like, we just want to learn about Jesus and talk about Jesus and spread Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's the community I wanted to
Tap into.
Yeah, and like see with, because like I was still kind of like, I think this is what I want.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a chance to kind of solidify it and see if that's really it.
Yeah, like check it out, see if it works for me, and then
Yeah, or be like,
ended up working for you. Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm leaving.
Yeah. So like both of you, like Sidney, you mentioned like your community wasn't the first thing you're like, oh, I'm going to YWAM for the community, but like was like integral part in like, because you can't, like I was listening to someone's like, we as Christians, I think sometimes we're like, I'll just read my Bible and do my own fellowship by myself and do this thing by myself. And then sometimes you fall into like things and you're like, why is nobody around me? And it's like, you don't have, like you haven't set the foundation for people to be around you, because you're like, I want to walk this journey alone and do my own thing, do my own fellowship. I don't want to be part of like Bible studies or like youth groups or young adults. Just want to do this thing your own. So like you guys already mentioned, like there's that accountability that comes with like being part of like a community. For us as Christians, and it's the church community that makes that impact on us, like our friends that go to church, that encourages, hold us accountable, like Sidney said, like what are you doing, what's going on, why is your life sucking right now? Or it's because you're not reading your Bible, and then it's like stuff like that. So that was like a big part of my thinking, was like you look at the, like if you hear stories from your parents, like you can tell like the community looked different in their times growing up, and then it looks different to us growing up. So what's been like what are things that you guys learned in your DTS, like in other communities, like if let's say wherever you guys went in 2020 something, that was like, oh, this is something that is not like done in the American church community, and this is like really something we could do. I know it's a loaded question. I kind of explained my questions a little bit too much, so.
You're good.
I think the coolest thing about like community where we went on outreach was to Asia, and then I went to South America too on a different outreach. But in both of them, like the biggest part was their hospitality, and it's really cool here in Hawaii too. But I think they do it so well in Asia. Of like their main goal is just to show Jesus' love to people by taking them in and giving them like everything they have, which I just think is something that we don't do here. It's like, my things are my things. Like, my food is
mine.
my food. I'm not sharing. Like, I bought this burger. I'm not giving it to you. Like, but, like, they have, like... Well, they have, like, one cup of rice for their whole family for their whole day, but they'll just give it to you, and they won't say no. And it's just, like, they give you everything they have. And I just think it's cool to see how, like, nothing is too much for them to give to other people, and that's how they, like, love people and bring people into their community. And I just think that's something that, like, I wish I could do more, but I'm often too selfish to, like, really, like, dive into that, because I'm like, well, I use that, or
It's my burger.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not giving away a burger, but like, they wouldn't think twice, and I just think that's something really cool.
Mm.
Yeah, I think along like pretty much the same vein, it was that hospitality that, like it's things that I feel like are easily overlooked. Like they would always like they had food always, you know, and it'd be like yeah, and sometimes you'd be like, well, they're the people hosting us. Like I understand why they would do that. And then there was like I remember there was once it was really weird. Honestly, I didn't like it, but I was going to wash my clothes because we had to hand wash.
Yeah.
And this this Thai girl who lived there, she already made, you know, some weird comments, and it would be like, okay, good to see you, you know. Thanks for but I'm like washing my clothes, and she was like, let me help.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you know, I got like underwear in here. I'm good. I got it.
Yeah.
I use my hands.
Yeah.
And she's like, nope. And she's like grabbing
Mm.
and just like washing my clothes with me. And I'm like, you know, trying to fish the underwear to like my side.
Yeah.
You know? And, like,
Yeah.
But she's like didn't even, not a second thought, like I had something else to do. It was like, if you're doing that and this is work, I want to help you.
Yeah.
And that was something that like as weird as it was in the moment, just to kind of like get over some things.
Yeah.
It was also like, I mean, thinking about myself, I'm like, yeah, I probably wouldn't have just reached in and started grabbing people's clothes.
Yeah.
You
You
know?
probably like, you're doing laundry? Cool. Good for you. I'm not helping.
Yeah, I'd be like,
Yeah.
is it only T-shirts? No? Well, I'm not helping.
I'm not
grabbing
helping.
underwear.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
No way. But yeah, like she sat there and helped me clean my clothes for like 40 minutes. Just, that was it.
Yeah, that's something also like I've grown up around, like in Malawi, like when you have guests over, like you kind of don't want them doing any work. So like you just kind of like want them to sit, like enjoy their visit, and then like you do everything for them. And like I've seen a couple of VBSs we've done in Malawi. People really struggle with the idea of like, oh, I'm just visiting, and this is how they're gonna treat me as a visitor. They're gonna give me the best plates, like China. Like people, you call them like China. Like they're gonna bring out the plates. Like for us kids, like those plates come out once, and after that we never see them again because the visitors are here. Or like Fanta comes out once, we never see Fanta when we're just wandering around. But then the visitors are here. Suddenly everybody has the Fanta in their hands. Like what's going on, right? So it's like you guys said. It's like there's different cultures and different communities do things differently. But I think like all of you guys have mentioned, like the goal is to serve and to be served by other people. Like Jesus commands us to do. It's like you want to serve as a church community. You're part of a community. You're part of a body, and you have like a task to complete instead of just like, well, I'm just saying no. I can't do anything. I can't like walk you. I'll just breathe, right? So like everybody has a part to play in how like the community functions for Christ, and I think that's like a big part of what maybe most young people. I'm just saying most young people, but like most of us miss in times like we just look down upon ourselves and just be like, well, I'm not really talented. I'm not really Isaiah. I don't have long hair. Like there's nothing else I can do. I'm not like I can't lift. It's just like, well, then why should I hang out with them? Or why should I go be part of that group? Because like I'm not good enough for them, and it's something that God hasn't called us into. It's like the spirit of like I'm not good enough. I don't want to be part of this group because I can't fit in. I don't fit in. I think you see that a lot of times. Like, well, those guys have been friends for like a long time. I don't want to just be like swoop in and like be like, oh, I'm the seventh guy in the group. It's like, nah, dude, 6. Just like we got the 6 and like that's it. But like you guys said, welcoming people and taking them in and like showing them the ropes. Like this is how we do. This is life. Like this is how you walk with Christ, and like guiding them through. Even we're all learning, but like some people are higher, like already like forward in their learning than other people. So like the community is part of like taking you along and walking through that. Isaiah just usually just looking at me talking, and then I'm like, oh, I have to let Isaiah talk. So
keep going, you're good.
No.
If I want to interrupt you, I'll interrupt you.
But yeah, so that's something that I was like thinking about, like as I was mentally preparing for this episode, because this is all I had notes wise, and I just did this in my car. But I just like thinking about things like, what does it look like for young people in finding community and thriving in a community and learning to serve other people, even though it's like Sidney said, we all have selfish people. Like I want my time to myself. I'm watching Peaky Blinders. I don't want to like, I don't want to go anywhere else. I'm like home. I just want to sit on like at home and watch TV.
Yeah.
I don't really care what's going on like outside. So like, what are your thoughts on like people that try to find community and then like feel discouraged when like the community they want to be a part of then happens? Like, oh, I wanted to be Isaiah's friend, but Isaiah's like, he doesn't want to be my friend because he already has friends with him. He does that to people sometimes.
Come on, Isaiah.
Messed up.
Yeah.
Why am I always going first?
Ladies first.
Because I would imagine, I was talking to, we were at the haircuts yesterday, and like she was talking about like Ethan coming back and like having to integrate, like go back into community, and like this was a different community, and then he has to go back into this community, and then like learning where do I, like after like a year of being apart from this church group, where do I serve or where do I fit in?
Yeah.
How do you like reintegrate yourself into society or like community? Let's not say society. Any thoughts, Isaiah?
Oh, he's got thoughts. Even profound thoughts.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think you just have to slow down. I think like when you're mentioning like you're selfish with your time, or like I just want to sit on my phone or watch a show, and it's like there's never been a time in history where we're just like on our phones as much, or like you know, so selfish with our time, but it's not even doing anything productive. And so I think just like challenging yourself to like slow down in a sense and like make space and time for community, because often like you're the one that's choosing not to really put yourself out there. Like you'll like put your toes in, and then if it's like not really good enough for you, you're like, oh, there's other options out there. I can find something else. It's like I can look on my phone and find a community on Instagram, which I don't think actually exists, but like you know, it's
the
like,
campfire community exists on Instagram.
that's different. But I just think it's like slowing down and actually putting yourself out there, or like making space for it. Like, you know, saying hi to somebody for 2 minutes at church isn't really gonna like make you part of the community.
Yeah.
Like you have to like slow down more than that and try. And
Just like don't leave right away after service is done. Like, kid, I'm out.
I'm not supposed to do that.
Stay at
You have to
church.
stay and engage, Caleb. Like, stay a little bit. Just say, I'm out of here. Let's go.
It's time
Got
for a
important things
Yeah.
to do, man.
Time to go get my protein.
It is. Yeah. What was the question? Sorry, I just forgot.
Like, so like, you know, sometimes like I was saying, like I was giving an example of Ethan. Like he went away to Wyoming and then came back,
Gotcha.
and then
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
like,
back.
and then Sidney did the same thing, went and then came back, and it's like,
Yeah.
how do you, like, for example, let's say Ethan, he already had a role serving in the youth group, but then he
Yeah.
comes back. He's experienced God differently. He's moved, like his journey has like moved a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find yourself back into community when you're like, ooh, I haven't really hang out with these guys in like a year, so how do I get back in there?
Yeah, I think like I mean, just like from my experience, like coming here and even like when we were in YWAM, like it would like, you know, quick community shifts, and I remember I would have a hard time like the whole idea that I could actually have something that would be like maybe helpful or useful or even enjoyed, you know, in a group of people.
Yeah.
It would be like, for me to think that, I would have this idea like, well, you know, maybe that's a little like prideful or arrogant. I shouldn't think that. I'm just gonna like be humble and not do anything.
Yeah.
You know, that's like the answer.
That's the excuse you give yourself. I'll just be humble and not be part of, but like you're just like scared of like
Exactly.
people might reject my idea, and I don't want anybody rejecting my idea. Yeah, I feel you. Sometimes I'm like, let me just stay out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think like it was hard for me like sometimes having to take the time to actually like evaluate myself and be like, okay, because I believe what the Bible says and what God says about me, He made me with gifts and talents and things that are actually useful and beneficial and enjoyable, and it's okay to acknowledge that there are people who might enjoy or be benefited from my helping or my being somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And actually just like evaluating like what it is that it's like what I have right now.
Yeah.
You know, it might be different than last season, but it's like, you know, so like Ethan, it's like I'm coming back.
Yeah.
This is where his role was. This is what he had to offer. And now he's like, yeah, I've experienced God differently. I've I have things I've grown in, and
Yeah.
it's like this is something I feel like where if you actually like allow yourself to evaluate, like this is something I have to offer,
Yeah.
and it's okay to say that it's something I have and it's good, and I want to
Yeah.
give it.
Like I've grown so much, I have more to offer than just like, oh,
Exactly.
Isaiah's here.
Exactly.
Just you know. Yeah. They're here for. These are your dream guests. How about them?
We're honored.
We're really
What-
celebrities out here.
I'm gonna get your autograph afterwards. When did you choose that you were going to be following God, and it didn't become like your parents' faith more? It was more like you chose on your own that this is the path I want to follow.
I think honestly probably when I went to YWAM, because like growing up in the church and in youth group and with parents that are believers, it's really easy just to be like, oh yeah, my parents are smarter than me, my pastor's smarter than me, it's just true, this is what I'm gonna do. But like I don't really care about it, I just don't want to go to hell. That's basically where I was at. And then like going to YWAM, like they ask you really hard questions and they challenge you to like think things through more. And I think that challenged me to like take it seriously and be like, wait, what do I actually believe? And even just like sitting with it and being like, wow, I'm really broken and like I need a lot of healing, and being like, God is such a good and loving Father, and like I want to like experience that, and I want to like feel the healing that He's like reaching out and offering to us. So I think that's when it became mine, because then I just realized like God is so good and like He loves me, and like I'm free when I'm with Him instead of being just like afraid of hell, you know, like just realizing like how good He is really changed like how I saw Him.
I think for me it was like my dad was always like my biggest example, and I always was like, you know, I mean, he was like Superman and unattainable in my brain. And then there came a time when it was more like, you know, I would always like encourage me in like reading my Bible myself, you know, and like doing those things. And it was when I got like later in high school, and it was like, okay, what am I going to do next? And then looking at like college, and it would be like college, or there was one college that it was like a Bible college, and I was like, yeah, maybe, but like I don't really care all that much. And it was in those times where it was like when I had to like make my own decision of what I was going to do, and I realized like I'd kind of like just, it's like I just did what people told me.
Yeah, you're just coasting in life.
Yeah, it's like wherever my dad told me to go, I just kind of went.
Yeah.
And I would read, and he'd help me along, and that was great. But it was like there is when I realized like I have to make those decisions. And I remember I felt like God was calling me to like, you know, do something more in like a ministry related aspect, and I was like, no, I'm gonna go to college instead.
Yeah.
And then I went to college, and when I was in college, I was like, this is super unfulfilling and not at all what I want to do. And that was when it was like I had this like that was like my moment of
That was your Jonah moment.
yeah. It was like not just do I feel like I didn't follow, but it was like I need to actually like take this up myself and figure out what I think and what I'm gonna do and what I believe and you know how I'm gonna walk out my faith. And that was like the kind of shifting moment for me.
Okay. You have a follow-up question? Because I have one.
Go for it.
Okay, so like where like out of high school, think of college. Like imagine both of you are thinking of college, and then you're like in this place where like your faith is slowly becoming your own, and then you go to YWAM, and then it's like, oh, this is my own faith.
Yeah.
And then like what are some things that you had to learn? Might be the harder way or the easy way of like, oh, God just taught me that, and sometimes, oh, God just taught me that, and it's just like high or like a low moment, like God was teaching you something, like some is refining you, is putting you through the fire sometimes. Go through here so you can come out better on the other side. Like what's something you've learned in your YWAM walk, and then it's like in your faith becoming your own to where you guys are right now.
You just keep doing it this way, it just flows.
Yeah, just like
Okay, this is how
Exactly.
we're
Yeah.
doing it now. I think for me, it was learning how to be quiet and still with God and just try to listen to what He has to say and let Him speak to me. because often, like, I was pretty broken coming out of high school. A lot of things happened, and I was just really hurt. And I would just, like, keep myself so busy that I didn't have to think about it and could just, like, float on by. And then when I got to YWAM, they would have a lot of times of, like, okay, we're just going to sit for the next 3 hours and read Psalms or worship, or you're just going to...
I mean, you were reading Psalms, so, I mean, at least you weren't reading Ecclesiastes or, like, Numbers.
But I think it was when I was, like, forced to just sit there for so long and be quiet, or, like, sit and we're just going to listen to God for the next 30 minutes. And I'm like, well, I don't want to sit here and be quiet.
Yeah, I'm scared of my own thoughts.
Exactly. And so I think it was in those moments when I, like, had to, like, slow down and just let God, like, wash over me with his word, or even just let my leaders and my friends, like, speak his truth over me, and, like, allowed myself to get quiet enough to, like, hear that truth. And it just brought, like, a lot of healing and, like, allowed me to, like, see, like, how much God loved me despite how I felt or, like, my own thoughts. And it helped me to, like, hear his truth. Because I think it's really easy to let life get so busy that you can, like, just believe all these little lies you're telling yourself. But if you slow down, like, God's going to speak truth to you, and you're not going to be able to, like, refute that. So I think it's really cool just to be able to learn how to be quiet and, like, sit with God.
It's really hard when you're a loud person. It's easy for you because you're like you're pretty mellow. So for some of us, like 10 thoughts going on. It's like, what if you just like started stubbing this wall right now? Would that be fun?
That'd be fun.
So yeah, and then you can.
My moments like that were like my big one was. It kind of just relates to all of the stuff I said before, where it was like I had things I wanted to do, and I think it was hard. Like I had like the two ideas of like you should do what God wants you to do, and then you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And
I had leaned more heavily on I can do whatever I want to do. You know, put your mind to it, and
you can do it.
Yeah, and I can do it, and as long as it's within this set, it's a good thing. You know? And I think like that was what I was pretty like set on. And then going to YWAM, there was like it was already like I didn't want to necessarily do that. I felt like I should. And then there was SBS. I didn't want to do SBS, and I wasn't planning on doing SBS, but we had a week on lordship and discipleship, and it was like there was one moment where I felt like God was kind of like, I'm not telling you to go, but if I asked, you would do it, right? And it was like if I am gonna take this seriously and be like, I am just gonna follow God as I'm supposed to, then the answer is yes. Yeah. Because it's not really my choice anymore. And that was really hard for me, was getting to where I was like, if I'm gonna take like the next step in my faith of like where I felt like God was leading me, it was having to accept it, like, yeah, you're going to do what God wants you to do. No matter what. Yeah. Even if you don't want to. Even if you don't want to. Especially when you don't want to. Especially when you don't want to. Yeah. That was my refined. That was like your Jonah. You're like 3 days in there, like, you're getting refined. And the guy's like, you're going to do what I want you to do anyway. Yeah. By the end of the day, even, I'm going to ask you. So I'm nice to ask you. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I'm just have you carry out my will whenever I want. Exactly. Yeah, so, and then, you have any other follow-up question before I ask my next question?
Okay, I'll interrupt you for one, Preston.
You, Sidney, spoke about, like, your friends speaking his truth to you. What does that look like when you have friends that speak truth to you instead of just like, oh, yeah, just listen to whatever your heart is telling you to do instead of people that hold you accountable and then speak God's truth to you.
Yeah, I think it's just like having friends who aren't afraid to tell you the hard things and who like are dedicated to God and to his word as well. So it's like surrounding yourself with like a few people at least who like know God's word and are like pursuing him. And, like, then you decide together, and it's like, okay, like, we're serious about this. Like, we want to be the kind of people who would, like, disciple each other. And it's like community's not perfect. Like, it never is perfect. Yeah. but like having that community where even in the imperfection, you can like challenge each other and disciple each other.
Yeah.
And like that's the kind of truth that like really impacts you. It's like I could be like doubting myself or like really just mad at the world, but then like they could like be like, hey, you need to chill out and like
Yeah, don't blow the world up.
yeah, just like really challenging you to like listen to God or like think about like your actions or like if you're like feeling really insecure or sad or like frustrated at something, being like, no, like God still has a plan, like he still loves you and like he made you like smart, he gave you this knowledge, like he wants you to use it, or just like things like that.
Maybe he didn't make you smart.
Well, then he made you beautiful.
That was like my comment in my head was like, what if God just like he didn't give you the brands, he gave you a brand but he didn't put the sauce in it.
Somebody's
made you
listening.
funny.
Like, I am smart. They lied to me. Sorry. That was the end of your thought.
I don't know, I lost train. The train's
do that
gone.
I won't
No, you
interject
can't.
jokes.
What about you?
What was the question?
So maybe this is the example of like maybe God gave you the brands. It's just
He's just funny.
I forgot the question too, to be completely honest.
the question is, what have you learned, or what has God like taken you through? Like, and then Sidney was talking about like having friends that speak the truth to you, and then the next question was, what does that look like when you have friends that speak truth to you?
Gotcha. We're back. Yeah, I think like I had especially there was one guy in our SBS, and well, he was in our DTS too. His
You can name drop.
his name. So I'm Caleb Andrew Carsrud. He was Caleb Andrew Joyner.
Okay.
So we were instantly like.
Oh yeah.
They were roommates.
Yeah, we were
Oh,
Me and
nice.
his fiance were roommates.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah, we knew what we were doing.
Okay. Okay.
We were like a one track. We were on things, but he was one where it's like we usually thought pretty much the same stuff, but we would always, if we were gonna venture one way to like an extreme, I would go one way and he would always go the other. So it was like we'd have these great times.
Just like me and these guys. I'm like,
Yeah.
Nephilim, no.
yeah, it's like, do you believe aliens exist? I'm like, like, yeah, they do. It's like, okay, good. Maybe good for you guys. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like having him, it just even like, I think, because we wouldn't necessarily disagree, but even just like, it's like I have thoughts, you know, it's like I'm experiencing things, I'm studying things, I have, you know, whatever emotions are going on, and it's like in my own mind, they get to just kind of do whatever they want, but when I would actually be able to like, you know, I'd express to him, and we'd have these like longer debates, where it would be like, he's going to go to that extreme that I'm not going to go to.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I'm not going to necessarily listen to him. But like, even
Of course, that's what friendship is all about.
but even just like getting the
input.
Yeah, it was like, it's helpful to just kind of like, if you just let your own brain decide everything, like that's just not beneficial, you know? So like just having him there to be like, hey, like, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I agree.
Yeah.
But I think that extreme was wrong.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like,
Okay, it was wrong, but I don't care.
I don't care. But also, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, it's like sometimes we do this with Riley, where like he has a thought, or I have a thought, or something happens, we observe something happen, and then we try to discuss it, and then like I have different thoughts, and Riley has different thoughts, and then it's like the clash of like, I think this is how it's supposed to be done, and I think this is how it's supposed to be done. At the end of this, just like, okay, thanks for your input. I'm gonna make my own decision after this, right? So it's good, like have different views on things, because you don't want to have a friend that's like, oh yeah, that's funny, yeah, it's funny, that's it. Like sometimes you need friends like, that wasn't funny, I didn't find that funny, and you kind of like refine your material and go again, right? So it's good. Come on. I talk a lot. I've heard that, so I'm trying to give you the space. Trying to give you the space.
The fans want to hear what
Yeah.
you have to say too.
They want to hear you refine his material.
Isaiah's is like extreme. Sometimes I'm scared of Isaiah's input. I'm like, oh, it's just gonna like go the other way, like red side. I'm like on the green. I was like, oh, okay, that's just Isaiah.
Does that scare you?
Scares me all the time, and then it gets aggressive if you don't agree with him. It's like he has knives with him. It's scary.
So guys were talking about how you guys went to SBS, right? And in SBS, it's like studying the Bible a lot, right?
Yeah.
So what was like the most beneficial part of that for you?
They know the whole numbers. It's like in their branch, like, oh, this person lived 830 years. Next one, 850.
It's the most important.
Yeah.
Remembering the numbers.
It's a hard question because we learned so much.
She's bragging. I see that.
Mm-hmm. It's a humble brag.
She's just
like,
so smart. She's
so smart. Like, I returned everything.
How can I express like what 20 books would be in my brain?
Yeah. You want me to tell you the whole, like, Ecclesiastes, the whole point of the book?
I think it really helped me like challenge what I believed or like I thought I believed. Because like growing up with parents who believed in a church, like everything that I heard from like my pastors or my parents, I immediately was like, okay, that's true. But then as I like studied the word and like really got into it and like studied it from Genesis to Revelations, I was like, maybe I don't agree with that thought or like this thought. And it really just challenged me to like make my faith my own, but like from like
Experiencing God.
Yeah, and like it's backed up by the Bible. It's not just I feel this way. It's like actually like I've studied and I've read the Bible and I like can like back up my thoughts. And it just helped me feel more confident in like God is good and he's faithful throughout the whole Bible and I can see that and I can prove that. And so I think it was just cool to be able to get to that point where I could like defend my faith confidently and like continually challenge how I think. Like even now, like I don't know everything, but I could know how to like challenge myself to think about it more.
You see what she did there? You said she was bragging. You see what she did? I don't know everything. It's like
I don't know everything.
just drop that in there. Like I'm just gonna bring myself. I'm just gonna touch grass.
I'm
Yeah.
done talking now. Time to go home.
Yeah, I think something that was like really cool to see was like so we read it in 9 months. We read the Bible 5 times.
Oh, see, he's bragging now.
That's just what happened. It's just
He hasn't gotten there yet. Give him some time. He's just getting started.
I didn't remember any of it. But like getting to see first, like from a start to finish, like the whole story in such like a quick amount of time, and it was like fast enough, but enough times through that it wasn't just like, oh, I like kind of forgot.
Yeah.
It'd be like we'd get to stuff, and I'd be like, that was really something I never would have like thought was important or anything or had any thoughts on before.
Yeah.
But like now it's like in light of scripture and like being able to see it, it was like it really helped me to understand like a lot more stuff that before seemed just like out of like, you know, it's like obscure.
Yeah, just like, okay, I know how many years he lived, but why? And then like next time you read through it, you're like, but why was he? Yeah.
Or like things that, you know, it would say a king did whatever, and you'd be like, that's a weird fact. Who cares?
Yeah.
And then, you know, but it would be like, well, we read Deuteronomy last week, and it'd be like, oh, it said that was bad.
Yeah.
And so that part of it made it a lot, like, that was really cool. But also I think, like, along what she said is there were a lot of things maybe I had, like, some thoughts on, not total opinions on, or some things I was just like, if you believe that, you're crazy. And, you know, giants.
That's what I told these guys with the alien stories, like, you're crazy.
But I think, like, getting to, like, see all of the Bible, and it's like I got to form opinions, find some things that I was like, maybe I had opinions formed that I was like, I just don't think I just don't know. You know, like I'm not going to say I know that. And then some things where I would be able to like maybe not agree with other people, but I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
You know, I could be like, I see why you would draw that conclusion, even if I agree or not.
Okay, so going through the Bible like so many times, what are things that you guys learned that was like, oh, that was for me? Like you can read the Bible and go through it. Like I read through, you can go through Matthew and just like, oh, that was a cool story. And then you read through it again, you're like, oh, that spoke to me specifically, and that was for me. That God wanted me to see that today, or like God wanted me to learn this in my journey through Matthew. What's something that you guys learned? So like, oh, that was just for me. That was a little nugget. Sydney's like, another hard question where I have to tell you a lot of things.
I had so many nuggets. Every word was
I think for me it was probably realizing like the depth of Jesus. Like I knew that Jesus saved us and that he said some smart things, and I thought he was really cool and he did some cool things. But I think when we studied Leviticus, right after we finished Leviticus, we studied Hebrews. And so that back-to-back parallel of like the law of the Old Testament and then to Jesus, and Hebrews just describes like how he is everything.
Yeah.
He like perfectly fulfills everything.
Yeah.
And I think just seeing that right after studying the Old Testament, it really impacted me. Like, wow, Jesus really was the perfect priest.
He is him.
He was better than all the angels. Like, he is the guy. And it was just like cool for me to see how like he's sufficient in everything. And like nobody else possibly could have done that. And I just think it was really cool to just like understand the depth of what he did. Like even like him being the perfect sacrifice, like reading through Leviticus and seeing like how insane the sacrificial system was, and then being like, wait, Jesus was perfect to cover all of that. It's like, wow. Like not only did he go through all these really hard things, but like he himself was like perfect in every way. And I just thought that really impacted me and like helped me understand like the weight of who Jesus is and what he did a lot more.
Yeah, along the lines of that, your thoughts is like you read like the Old Testament and the laws, and then you read what Jesus said, and like Jesus was like, yeah, they told you this, but nah, this is what you gotta do. Like every time it's like, yeah, that's what they taught you, but it's like you switch teachers, and then your new teacher is way smarter, so it's just like, that's what they told you. Nah, this is the easy way to do it. This is the easy way to do it. It's just like, oh, it just makes life easier. Yeah.
The only one I can think of, just like off the top of my head, it's not as broad and cool maybe as hers, but I remember there were several points. I was going to say one, but there was, I think every Thursday I was ready to quit and go home. I was just exhausted. And I was like, well, I think that every time I'd be like, we'd start a new book, and by Thursday I would tell her every week, I was like, this is the one I'm not finishing. I'm just not doing it. I'm done. I'm tired.
Every time you like tell me experience, I'm just like, you were living in your Jonah era, dude. It's like, I'm done. God, you want me to do this? Nah, I'm going the other way.
9 months every Thursday. Like, Sidney, I'm done. I'm like, no, you have to finish. God told you to come here. And he's like, nope.
Ready to jump ship.
Well, okay, there was a lot of like, the reading was one thing. Then there was like so much stuff they required to finish the book. It was like you'd spend like 60 hours a week just on homework, and then you'd have about 10 hours of lecture, and it was like
so much for your brain.
Yeah.
Like too much stuff.
And sometimes it'd be like, I did this last week.
Yeah.
And now we're doing it again.
Again, yeah.
And he's like, and I have bed bugs. I'm done.
That's a whole different thing.
That's horrible.
Oh, Isaiah wants to hear that, I bet.
Horrible.
It's awful.
4 different times in 9 months.
4 times?
Leadership. It was a hard situation.
I'll have to self-control. Like leadership, it was a hard time.
But I remember there was one when we got, because we were going through the major prophets, and it was like, this is hard. They're huge, and it was like they were pretty close to each other. It's like, I'm tired, and I remember I used to have a dumb schedule because I didn't want to be around people when I was studying. So I would get up at between 2:45 and 3, and I would have coffee already like pre-ground, and I'd make my coffee, and then I'd get to work, and I'd be like, from about 3 to 6 a.m., nobody would interrupt me, and I could just be like alone. And I remember we were doing Ezekiel, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
This is the one. It's my time of the week to say I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
And I remember I read right in the beginning, there's a part where he's like, talking to Ezekiel, and he was like, I'm making your forehead like bronze. Like, they're not going to be able to stop you. You're just going to, like, push through.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, reading that.
You're like, this is my moment. I'm getting smarter.
I, like, read it, and I'm, like, sitting there, like, I'm not finishing this one. God was kind of like...
Smirking, just like, okay.
He's like, you sure? I was like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it was just, like, things like that were, like, weird little passages. But... I don't know, God just, like, used him so timely.
Yeah.
Where it would be like, yeah, that's what you needed that week. And it would be like, and then I finished Ezekiel.
It was a miracle.
No, Isaiah was a miracle.
Whoa!
Not you. Oh, Isaiah is a miracle.
Isaiah, he is a miracle.
Isaiah was bad.
Whoa.
Not you. Isaiah. It's a hard week.
Yeah, it's an interesting book.
Isaiah loves it.
It's a great book.
I do like it. I might be a little bit biased, but
Just because it's Isaiah, it's like, oh, what else can I read in the Bible? I want to identify with my friend Isaiah.
I only read the Caleb's allotment.
Yeah.
Joshua over and over again. His square miles.
I can go again. You know me.
yeah, go for it.
All right. I mean, we're almost done here. Sydney says she wants to go home, so let's. If it wasn't for Sydney saying we should go home, maybe this would have been 2 hours. But so what are some songs that like speak to you, like worship songs that you listen to, like, wow, this is like a good song. You don't really listen to the instrument. You just like the words just like stand out to you all the time. Like for me, like when we went to Wyoming. After Wyoming was Abide. That song was just like speaking to me all the time. And like learning to abide in Christ and like being part of that tree and being a vine with him, being one with him is just like something that I aspire to have. It's like just be part of that, like just feed from that and nothing else. So what are some songs that are like, when I listen to this song, I'm ready to take on the world?
I think
like
right.
Eye of the Tiger. Nothing biblical.
Just really gets me going. I think right now for me, I think it's called Christ Crucified. Crucified. It just talks about how like Christ is crucified in you, and that's kind of like the whole theme of like the song. But I just find it really encouraging to just be like Christ died for me so that I could be made clean, and like that means I can live like him, and I can like glorify God because like he cleansed me. And I just find it really encouraging because sometimes it'll be like, well, I'm not good enough, or like I really messed up today, but it's like, no, like Christ died on the cross so that you could keep going. And I just find that really encouraging.
Sidney dropping one-liners. God died on the cross so you could keep going. Gonna be your next shirt. Next campfire shirt. God died so you can keep going. Don't quit.
Don't let the fire go out.
Wow. All right.
I don't listen to like a lot of like worship music.
He just listens to Eye of the Tiger.
I don't actually.
Who let the dogs out? Caleb going to work.
Yeah, I get up in the morning before I read my Bible.
Who let the dogs?
But I like hymns a lot. I think consistently the song that like has been like the song for me is "Be Thou My Vision." I would listen to that song like I think every morning for like I saw like I don't know like 10 months, and I just think like it was I think sometimes like I would tend to kind of like get a little in myself and getting like in the morning like a perspective change of like I just want to like look at God and Jesus, and that's everything. Yeah. And that would always just kind of minimize the things that I would start to like allow to get too big in my life, and just kind of put all my focus on Jesus. Recently, Beneath the Cross of Jesus, profound.
Banger? Certified banger?
I mean, I wouldn't listen to it. I would rather just read it, but it's
okay. So
it's not very long. It's like a poem.
Oh, okay. So it's not a listen to song. It's like a read song.
Yeah, it's like you listen to it and you're like,
okay.
oh, this is not great.
I see. And then you read it?
Oh my
certified banger.
Yeah. You start getting like.
Yeah. That pen was on fire. Fire to paper, just like writing it down.
Yeah.
What about you, Isaiah? What song has been? I mean, we know you like. You have your set of songs, but like, what worship song? It's been like when you're in the gym at like 11, like pumping.
Yeah. It's 11 o'clock, middle of the gym. You go to worship music. What comes on?
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's called "Don't Tread on Me."
that's
Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
We know you have knives. We're not treading on you anytime soon. Okay. Verses in the Bible that like I know people say you can't have favorite verses or books in the Bible, but like there's a book you read and like Sidney said, like it just reminds you of like God's depth. Or, like you read a book and just like it's just an encouraging to you. Like it's a Thursday, you're about to quit. Read Ezekiel. And then you say, oh yeah, I'm ready to go. Friday.
Yeah.
Then I'm about next Thursday, and then Ezekiel's like, nah, dude, you're not quitting. And then it's like, what's that book? What's that verse? That's like your jam.
I'd say probably Colossians, or
It's my book.
you can't claim a book.
Like, that's mine. Selfish Sidney was talking about it.
Yeah.
My book.
I was raving about Colossians for like 7 months, and you just stole my chance to say Colossians.
Well, maybe if you went first instead of just staring at me.
Ooh. Whoa.
I'd say Colossians or probably Hebrews. I really like Hebrews.
Colossians. Colossians, Philippians. Honestly, I love Ecclesiastes.
Oh, yeah.
do.
It's like,
So good.
it like gives you like both perspectives. You're feeling down. Do you still want to feel down? Everything is pointless.
Yeah.
And then you're like, gonna feel positive. It's like, oh, everything is pointless. Why do I care? It's just like two sides of a coin.
Yeah. So I think, I even like, I read that one sometimes if it's like I'm just not, week's just not really going.
Yeah.
And I read that, and just even to get to the end, and when he's like, after everything's said and done, fear God.
Yeah.
And you're like, yep, that's it.
Yeah. That's the goal.
That's it.
Yeah.
Preston,
What about you?
can you repeat the question?
It's like you're hosting this with me. You're supposed to be paying attention.
I'm trying to. You talk a lot.
See? You see what I said? What's your favorite book or verse that keeps you going like on a Thursday when you're ready to quit?
On a Thursday.
That should be like a thing. Thursday, I'm ready to quit.
You're gonna laugh at me, but I'm gonna say Isaiah.
Why would I laugh? Isaiah is a great book. It's just long.
Specifically, like my favorite verse of all Isaiah is Isaiah 40:31.
What does it say?
I can't repeat it from memory because I can't remember.
You have your phone. You have your laptop. We'll allow you to search it up. It's not cheating.
Watch, he's gonna find it before me.
You can just look it up. You can just say, oh, you don't know.
31, got it.
What'd I tell you?
Yet those who wait for the Lord will gain new strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not get tired. They will walk and not become weary.
Is that the strength part?
Hmm?
Is it the strength part? That's like...
I don't know. It just like it helps me to keep going. You know, you feel like you don't have anything left in your tank, and then it's like God's like, but I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still with you. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
That's
I can keep going.
That's good. Oh, I got another one.
Yeah.
Hebrews 11. All of Hebrews 11.
All right. Hebrews 11. Why?
It,
Makes you cry.
every time I think about it, I cry.
Really?
It's so...
It's like watching movies with Alea. She's crying all the time. It's like, it's a princess movie. But it's so cute. Like, okay.
It's the end of it. I think also having when we went through SBS and you get like so it's like all your whole life for 9 months is just like what's in this book.
Yeah.
It's the characters, it's the story, and it's the chapter 11 is called the Hall of Faith.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it's like, by faith, Abraham did whatever. And,
Yeah.
But at the very end, it goes on where it says, "For those who say such things make it clear that they are seeking a country of their own. And indeed, if they had been thinking of that country from which they went out, they would have had opportunity to return. But as it is, they desired a better country, that is a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. By faith, Abraham, when he was tested, offered up Isaac, and he who received the promises was offering up his only begotten son. It was to whom it was said, in Isaac your descendants shall be called." Did I start? I started so far in the middle. We were about to read like 30 verses. Now I'll fix it. Got it.
You do you, dude.
I got it now. 11:32. He says, "And what more shall I say? For time will fail me if I tell of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, and Samuel and the prophets, who by faith conquered kingdoms, performed acts of righteousness, obtained promises, shut the mouths of lions, quenched the power of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, from weakness were made strong, became mighty in war, put foreign armies to flight. Women received back their dead by resurrection, and others were tortured, not accepting to release, so that they might obtain a better resurrection. And others experienced mockings and scourgings, yes, also chains and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn in two, they were tempted, they were put to death with the sword. They went about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, ill-treated, men of whom the world was not worthy, wandering in deserts, mountains, and caves, and holes in the ground. And all these, having gained approval through their faith, did not receive what was promised, because God had promised something better for us, so that apart from us, they would not be made perfect."
You ever start crying?
I almost did when it said, every time I get to the men of whom this world was not worthy.
Yeah. So I listen to this podcast. Sometimes I'm like, why are they taking so long to drop an episode? But it's called Martyrs and Missionaries, and it's really good. I like looking back at like missionaries that have done great work, and it's just like you at the end of the episode, you're like, I'm like scared, but almost like inspired. Yeah. Like what these guys went through. Yeah. Like I'm afraid if I have to go through the same thing, but I'm also inspired, like because God like walked with them throughout the whole process. It wasn't just like, oh, you're just by yourself. It's God like walking with them even through the hard things. Just like, I want to do that, but it's scary. Yeah. But it's also like inspiring, like to be one of those guys. Like people like, oh, this happened because someone listened, right? Like God called someone, and they're like, I'm gonna go. Yeah. I look at like Africa. Look at people like David Livingstone, like C.D. Studd, like Mary Slessor, like people like Reese House, like people that have given their life to just go take the gospel to like places that like nobody dares to go. It's just like, look at those people like 17 years without your family. Yeah. Like that's crazy. Like you're going through Africa and just like malaria is just hitting you left and right. You're like, I'm on this journey because God has called me to it. It's just like you guys said, it's like it brings you to tears, but you also like these tears are like not sad tears, but almost like scared and inspired at the same time. Yeah. So that was gonna be my next question. Is like, what are some of the like people that inspire? Like you read this story, like if I could do half of what this person did, I'd be like, God, take me home. Yeah. Like, what are some of those people in your life that you look at them and you're like, this is really inspiring. I would love to be like this person. Yeah.
Nobody inspires you?
I'm really bad with names. It's from the Bible. I'd say Paul. 100%.
100%.
Pretty cool.
that's like you ask people like I had this question like if you could choose anyone from the Bible to be your therapist, who would you pick? Everyone's like Paul.
You'd be so mean.
So someone was like, that's why I would want them to be my therapist because like they'll just tell it to me like it is.
He'd be like, no.
You're dumb. You shouldn't be doing that. Yeah.
There was this family that I met in YWAM that were really just like inspiring to me, just their stories. They went to Mongolia for like 10 years.
Hmm.
And they had their kids over there and everything, and they just like they gave up everything. They didn't know the language or anything, and they like brought this whole community to Jesus there, and they were there for so long and nothing happened, and they would have like people at their door with guns all the time.
Yeah.
They had like little kids, and it was just really inspiring to me. Like they trusted God so much with their safety that it was worth like the few people that they were like bringing to Christ in that community. And then when they left, it was like there's this community thriving, and I just thought it was really cool. Like oftentimes I'll be like, it would be so scary if you had kids to go like do those things or to be in ministry. Even in America, people are crazy nowadays. But I'm just it's just really cool to see how like they trusted God so much with the safety of their family and even themselves that like it was worth it. And I just thought that family was pretty cool.
Yeah. There was a guy in YWAM that I spent a lot of time with, and they were long-term missionaries in China, and it was like, you know, I mean, you can't do anything in China.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him saying it was like you can't share the gospel, so you're basically just like trying to be the best people possible, praying a lot, trying to get in contact with people, and then if you ever do share the gospel, it's like you have to be really sure.
Yeah.
Because if it's like that was a miscalculation.
That was a miss.
Yeah, you're dead or you're out or, you know, something like that. And I remember he was giving his testimony once, and he said, in front of our class, and he said, basically that he never saw any fruit from what he did because it was like, you know, you couldn't really, and then they got kicked out.
Yeah.
And he's like, I never saw any fruit for what I did. But at the end of my life, the one thing I'll be able to say was I was obedient, no matter what.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's like...
That's the whole point. Yeah, just obedience.
Yeah, it's like no matter what the outcome is, just obedience over everything.
I think it was on our last... I know it was our last episode, and she was telling us about it, like, they went on this mission trip to this, like, carnival village. Like, they got lost and ended up at the village where, like, the carnival village. And it was just like, okay, that's, first of all, you got lost. Yeah. That it wasn't intentional to go there, but God was like, oh, how about you get lost and end up in this village? And then they ended up in the village, and they ended up, like, with the community. Like, she said the whole, like the whole village lived in one house.
Jeez.
So, like, just a long house. And, like, she was telling us, like, God was able to bring those people to Christ. But it's just, like, they listened. And then once they got to that village, I was like, oh, let's just get out of here as fast as we can. It's like, well, God has us here, so let's just do what God has called us to do. So that's, like, some inspiring stories. That's, like, I don't know what I would do if I ended up in a place where I could be the next meal.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, man.
You're like, man.
Man, how can I get out of here as fast as possible? But God's like, just stay. And it's like you guys said, it's all about the obedience. Like God calls you to something. It's like, all right, God has called me to it, and you trust that it's going to take care of you throughout the whole process. Yeah. All right, that's most of my questions. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you.
Of course, I'm going to ask you guys to tell our listeners to subscribe, to like our show. So you guys have heard those things before. You watch YouTube videos. Can you do us the honors?
Like and subscribe.
You gotta say to smash that like button.
Yeah, Sidney, you gotta say it.
Say it.
Sydney is too gentle to say smash that like button.
Guys, smash that like button. Subscribe. What are we going for? 1 million subscribers.
Yeah, we're going for whatever Cam says.
On the road to 1 million. Come on, be a part of it.
Yeah. So this episode for you guys, hopefully comes out Saturday. The video is gonna come out Saturday. I don't know about the audio.
Saturday.
So this episode will be out on Saturday. We'll send you guys the link if you guys want to share it to your friends.
Sweet.
But thank you guys very much for coming on. We had fun. I had fun asking questions.
I had fun.
All right. Sounds good. That's a good way to end it, I guess.
It was fun.